Brad, it's been a little while since we've last talked
Yeah.
the Giants, so it's time to be back, and I'm excited to talk about what we have missed. But before, I do have to get your temperature gauge here on the Rams heading into Seattle this Sunday for the NFC title.
Yeah, I feel better than I do going into Chicago. I think I didn't feel too great about that game.
Neither did Stafford. He was like,
No,
am I gonna be able to plant my foot? Am I gonna slip? What's going on?
It was crazy. There was so much with the rush and everything else, blitzing. Chicago's not a huge blitzing team, but they brought the package, and McVay just took a really long time to figure it out, which was kind of frustrating because usually he's on it. But I think the cold got to him too. He kept talking about after the game how cold it was, so I think that affected him also. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be a game, and we always say this every year. It's always you can pick one of the AFC Championship or NFC Championship games and say, I think one of those is going to be better than the Super Bowl because that's kind of how it ends up being. So it'll be exciting.
Though Pats Rams would be a really fun Super Bowl.
I want part 3. I definitely want part 3. I want revenge. I want to win against the Pats finally.
Pats Seahawks could be interesting, but it could also be a defensive game. Right. And I don't think anybody wants to see the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Even with Bo Nix, I'm not sure people want the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
No, Drake May against Stafford would be awesome.
Yeah. That sucked for Bo Nix, by the way. To get close and then to get hurt kind of in a fluky way, that sucks for him. All right, so we're going to talk about the Giants, who haven't done much, but stuff has happened in baseball that we should talk about. So let's kick it off. The Dodgers, we were kind of wondering how much they were paying attention to this Kyle Tucker market.
They're always looming in the background, man.
Well, the thing about it was that I was kind of comfortable with where sure they were not going to be in competition for him on a long contract.
Right.
The 7-year to 10-year kind of deal, it didn't seem like that was really what they were going to be involved in. But I was very much afraid that if his market fell and it was like a 2 or 3 or 4 year deal, that they would be involved, because that's more towards what they want to do. But at the same time, I thought, well, maybe the Giants will be involved because they were kind of against these long contracts. They don't want all of these guys to get old at the same time.
Right.
If you have Chapman and Adames, both kind of growing old, and not being as valuable, and you're paying them a ton of money, both at the same time, it's not going to be great. But you add 2 or more guys to that same timeline, and it probably really affects the team. So I get that. But when they signed Tucker to essentially what is a 2-year deal for like $120 million, I'm going to guess that unless he gets hurt, he opts out.
Yeah.
Then the average is ridiculous, but you're not on the books for longer than 2 years in his prime. And so I feel like these are kind of the deals that the Giants need to be competitive on. Now, Kyle Tucker, team for team, if he gets that same deal, who's he picking? Is of course picking the Dodgers. Everyone is going to pick the Dodgers in that scenario. But I was actually kind of disappointed that we didn't hear that the Giants were involved. And maybe they weren't involved because they knew that he was not interested. That's possibly the case. But then there was another deal that happened where Bo Bichette signed a short deal, and we have this we kind of have this hole in the infield. And we're like, oh, we could have used a really good infielder. And it didn't seem like they were involved or in competition for that either. So first, let's talk about Tucker to the Dodgers. It's not great for us because we don't want to see the Dodgers keep adding players. But where do you sit with this one, and how do you sit with it from the perspective of like competition and whether they should be getting where's the rest of the teams ponying up the money? Why are the Dodgers the only ones ponying up the money for guys like this?
Yeah, I think I was very frustrated at the beginning. I thought, man, this is super frustrating. Then you start to look at his numbers, and then read a really cool article from Saris on The Athletic, basically talking about anybody, comps Kyle Tucker in the past. Let me see if I can pull up the article real quick because it was really interesting. Comps to Kyle Tucker in the past and him going past the age of 28 and what those comped players have done in that time uh really kind of sets the bar of maybe the Dodgers saw and maybe everybody else saw that we don't want to give this guy too long because they kind of fall off after
Well, his defensive numbers have clearly fallen
right.
quite a bit over the last couple of years.
Yeah, so that kind of factors into it because when you look at it, of course I can't find the article now. I read it today, it was right there. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, no, I'm not coming across it. But anyways, yeah. So guys falling off after that age, and again, defensively, because when you look at Mookie Betts too, he compared Mookie Betts' bat speed. Okay, so Mookie Betts' bat speed last year was low because he had the illness and he had a hard time coming back from that. But they're also showing charts that bat speed dramatically drops after the age of 31. Well, his bat speed, Kyle Tucker's bat speed, has never been fantastic.
Right.
It's been good, and it's been in the above average, but never great, or not like Aaron Judge bat speed or anything like that, or Juan Soto. And he's already 28 years old. So now you're looking at the fact that that's going to start to tail off as well. So owners were looking at 7-year deals saying, I don't think this is anything we can do. And that's why the Dodgers could go in for that, basically 2 years. And again, if Kyle Tucker falls off and he's not otherworldly, that's the other thing too. He was good for a 4 WAR last year, not like a 5 or a 6 or a 7. So if he falls off in the next couple of years, the Dodgers are on the hook for 2 years after that for another $120 million. They're going to pan out $120 million in 26 and 27, and then possibly be on the hook for 28 and 29 for another $120 million, depending on how that goes. But there were comps to him that if his bat speed does fall off and he becomes average and becomes any less of what he is now, he's looking to be past the 28-year age of guys like Nick Swisher, and you're paying him $60 million a year to be Nick Swisher. So it was a really interesting article. I enjoyed it. There were a lot of good numbers and things in there. So yeah, I feel better about it. Yeah, he's probably going to have a good season. Of course, he's going to have a good season. And I think what helps too is you're in that lineup. You're a part of that lineup. You don't have to be the guy in that lineup. You just have to kind of, hold your weight. You got to be 1/9 of the lineup, and be yourself. And if Kyle Tucker was what he was 2 years ago, anything close to that, then he adds to that lineup, and now you have a dangerous outfielder in the Dodgers lineup. So,
and I think one of the big things about it is they are able to pay him on average as the highest paid player in the game. And he's really like their 4th most important player.
Yeah.
Like, had the Giants signed him, again, we don't think that there was even talks. There didn't seem to be any competition for him on this side. But he would have come into camp as the best or second best player, depending on what you think about he or Devers, right?
Right.
So that's a different thing where if you're the Giants, you're like, 60 million is a lot, but would we pay him if he was our best player? The Dodgers are like, we're going to pay him, but he's not going to be anywhere near our best player. And that's where the competitive disadvantage, it seems, for the rest of the league. I'm going to zag on that, though, because I am a fan of the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
And what the Golden State Warriors did fantastically in 2017 is they found the loopholes in the collective bargaining agreement, and they found the opportunity in how the shared television revenue was going to grow, and they were able to pay Kevin Durant to come to the Warriors for 2 years or 3 years, technically. They won 2 championships out of those 3 years. And at the time, there was this cry of, "Oh, this is unfair. How did they do this? Of course, they get the best player, this and that." Now, basketball, you can add a best player in the league and you can just win the championship. In baseball, it's a lot different. But in this sense, it feels like the Dodgers have figured out these different loopholes in the current CBA. And for some reason, none of the other teams have figured out how to do any of this. Now, I don't know if it's because they're not ahead of the game like the Dodgers are. Maybe they don't have as many smart people. Maybe the market is a little bit different. But they had, we all had the same opportunity to sign Ohtani. And it seems like the Giants and the Blue Jays were very willing to do the deal that he wanted. And then he was just able to choose the Dodgers. But since then, getting Ohtani and then having this pipeline to Yamamoto in Japan and Roki Sasaki, maybe the Giants are doing that in Korea. Maybe they're, maybe that's kind of a little bit of like well, if we can't do Japan, maybe we can do Korea with Jung-Hoo Lee and who all the guys there. We'll see if that actually comes to be. So I guess I don't fault the Dodgers as much as I fault all of the other teams for just allowing it to happen. Like, everyone sees this happening. Everyone sees the Dodgers moving and shaking. And you have 30% of the league who does not give a crap because they don't even really care about winning. And so it's up to the other 20 teams or the other 19 teams to go, hey, like, we need to be ahead of the game like these guys, or else they're going to leave us in the dust. I just don't understand how they've allowed the Dodgers to leave them in the dust. And again, market, but New York, right? New York's right there with LA. So there's opportunity there. But yeah, I don't know why the Dodgers were able to find the holes in the CBA to their advantage, and none of these other teams could do it.
Right. And what was the rumor? The Blue Jays offered Kyle Tucker 10 years, $350 million. Hey, that's a big chunk of change. But when the Dodgers come in and say, well, we're going to give you an AAV of 60 a year instead of 35 a year. I mean, you'd be dumb not to take that, right? Especially when you can gamble on yourself to get 120 out of the 240 that the Dodgers offered in 2 years, and then maybe wrangle yourself a 10-year, $350 million contract after that. So the fact that the Dodgers can offer $60 million a year, can every team offer $60 million a year? I mean, for 2 years,
there's no salary cap.
There's no salary cap, but I mean, can they in terms of crowd draw? I mean, let's say Cincinnati offers him 2 years, $60 million. Or 2 years, $120 million, 60 a year. And then he's a free agent again. I don't know if Cincinnati, I don't know if Kyle Tucker's the guy to get more people in the seats and possibly get into, deeper in the wild card round, deeper in the playoffs than they were last year. I don't know. I don't know if Kyle Tucker's that guy. For them, but again, for the Dodgers, they can do it because they already have the revenue. They already have the people coming in. They have the contracts with Japan, advertising contracts. They have a lot going for them. They've built an empire. I think doling out $60 million a year for a guy like Tucker is easier to do than any team in the majors. I don't know if the Giants could. I mean, looking at the Giants, I don't know if they could because they don't have that outside revenue, or they just haven't built it. They're doing other things like real estate contracts and whatever else it is they're doing. And I think there's also a lot of teams right now that are kind of gun shy because they don't want to give out a 7 or 10 year deal. The Blue Jays were willing to, but I don't think many other teams are right now with not knowing what's going to happen next year. if there is a salary cap and it does come into play, what does it do to current contracts? We don't know. Everything's up in the air right now. So without having answers to that, if you're a team like the Dodgers, you can say, well, here's 60 million. To them, that's a drop in the bucket, not a big deal, because they just gave Edwin Diaz, the bag, and they can give anybody else the bag that they feel like give. I mean, if they wanted to sign Framber Valdez to a 5-year, I don't know, 5-year, 25, 30 a year deal right now, they probably could. They'd have the money to be able to do that. And I think it's because of all of their outside revenue. Now, take this with a grain of salt. I was not a business major. I don't have a business degree. So, so the business side of baseball is still something that escapes me. Where the money comes from. I get it. It comes from butts in the seats. It comes from advertising. It comes from TV revenue.
Yeah, that's the big thing for the Dodgers is they just have a giant cable deal.
That one too. And Scott Boras says, well, we don't need a salary cap. We need everybody else to have these same TV deals for money to be coming in. How realistic
but
is that?
That's all based on market too, right? It's based on
Tampa Bay's not getting that same TV deal that the Dodgers are getting in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and this is what the MLB is trying to do is they're trying to pool together all of the rights of all of the teams and sell them as deals. But if you're the Dodgers and even the Giants, by the way, the Giants have a really nice cable deal, so they are not going to be interested in pooling with the MLB, unless I don't know how the MLB is going to be able to do that because you have the Dodgers, you have the Yankees, you have the Red Sox, the Giants, and some other teams who actually make a good amount of money because they're a very popular team in their local area. Whereas some of these other ones, like the Diamondbacks, like their cable deal's not great. So they're like, yeah, like we'll sell our rights back. We'll have MLB sell it for us and see what we can do. So the one thing that you said that is part of the deal for some of these smaller market teams is that they have no idea what next year's going to look like.
Right.
Because of the possibility of there being a lockout. Now, the Dodgers are sitting in a place where they're like, well, we can take advantage of all this indecision because it's to our advantage for these teams to be so gun shy because we don't have to necessarily worry about that. We have, they're paying more than a lot of teams' payroll just in the taxes that they have to pay for going over the top level of the current, the current top of the salary structure, and they're able to pay it, which is good for them. But yeah, I think some of it, and they're taking advantage of this worry. And the funny thing, or maybe this is irony, or maybe this is just evil genius. They are the biggest reason why there's possibly going to be a lockout is because, and we'll talk about this right now. Let's do our bitter Giants fan segment. We haven't done this one in a while.
Yeah.
This whole idea of a lockout is based on the Dodgers being able to make all of these moves with other teams not feeling like they can make the same moves. And so, for one, the Shohei deal was a backbreaker for a lot of folks. A lot of these teams who were like, well, yeah, if you're the Dodgers, then you could defer all this money because you know for sure that you're going to be fine for the next 15, 20 years. Yeah. Like you mentioned, Tampa Bay, they have no idea if they're even going to be the same, owned by the same people in that time frame. Dodgers have fantastic owners. I would say Giants have okay owners, but I'm less confident that those guys are the right guys seemingly every year.
Yeah.
But the idea is the Dodgers are at an advantage because of their market, because of who owns them, and because of their ability to tap into these loopholes, like I said, because they have more money to be more risky than some of these other teams who don't have the same money. Now think of the markets, like the market size, like Minnesota or Tampa Bay or Milwaukee. Those markets, even if you draw, let's say that they all drew the same amount of fans. Let's say the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Rays, and the Diamondbacks all drew 3 million fans to the park. The Dodgers probably would make 50% more money from their ticket sales just because they can afford to charge the highest prices possible. Like
Yeah.
that is an advantage of being in the LA market, being in a market where you have a lot of people who have a lot of money and who are willing to spend money at the same time as part of their entertainment budget. So that is part of it. The idea that the ownerships are unwilling, or maybe they just don't care as much. And that's the other thing is how many of these ownership groups even care that much to compete with the Dodgers? Do they want to win the World Series that badly? Or are they okay just going 81-81 and just being a part of the league? Whereas the Dodgers clearly are like, this is win or bust for us, and we are treating this business like that. Some of these other teams, like if you're the Oakland A's, do the Oakland A's care if they win 65 games? Like, can you like? There's no proof to me that the Oakland A's give one crap if they win 100 games or if they lose 100 games.
Right.
And so if you have teams like that, those teams are easy pickings for the Dodgers because you go, okay, we don't have to worry about competing with them, so cross them off. And so how many teams do you really have to compete with for some of these guys that you really, really want? Maybe you don't care that the A's are able to, grab some C-level free agent. You only care about these 5, and out of these 5, there's only 3 teams that you really have to outwork to get these guys, and that's how they look at it. So
Yeah.
one more thing, and then I'll let you go. So then the idea is at the end of next year, we'll see if the Dodgers win their 3rd World Series in a row. There were lots of people saying this year that the best thing for the possibility of collective bargaining and not having a lockout was for the Blue Jays to win. That did not happen.
Right.
So let's say we go into next year and the whole thing is like, well, we need a salary cap. If you watch that Montreal Expos documentary on Netflix, that was what the 1994 strike was about.
Right.
They lost the World Series and they came back in 95. And guess what? They did not come back with a salary cap. So it seems like we are now 30 some odd years later and we have the same problems. And I don't imagine we're going to have any solution to these problems. So go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, man, so much in there. Where do I start? We start with the A's because I'm kind of stuck on that one too. Yeah, I don't know what their business plan is. You're right. I'm not quite sure when you watch that team and you watch the club operate, especially in limbo land right now in Sacramento. But one thing I can guarantee you, when they get to Las Vegas, their first season, they're going to want to make a splash. They're going to make a run. Are they saving money for that right now? I don't know. But then look at the Houston Astros, and you look what the Astros did with homegrown talent. They didn't do a lot. They did some in free agency when they were in their winning years a few years back. They didn't do a ton. They relied on the farm system, the arms coming up through the farm, the Kyle Tuckers, Carlos Correas, those guys. They relied on all of those guys, Jose Altuve, coming up through the system. I don't feel like that's sustainable nowadays. I feel like now with no salary cap and with spending getting out of control, and again, spending wasn't out of control in the past, but it is now. And so that's why it has to be revisited. Anytime you get 1 or 2 teams like the Mets and Dodgers who have very deep pockets, And it's no coincidence that New York is the number 1 TV market and Los Angeles is the number 2 TV market in the country. That's not a coincidence that they're able to spend a ton of money in those markets. It, and that's where I think we're at right now. Is it's a race for free agency. If you look up and down the Dodgers lineup, you look at the homegrown talent, there might be 2 guys in there, I think, 2, 3. You have some bench parts. You have some pitching that is homegrown. Other than that, that roster is not very homegrown. You look at the 2010 Giants, mostly homegrown. 2012, 2014, mostly homegrown. That's not the game anymore. The game now is who can we grab off of free agency and how many players can we get off of free agency to build an all-star team to dominate. And again, I don't think it's bad for the game. It's going to be bad for the game if there's a lockout and we lose another entire season. Yeah, it's going to be bad for the game because you're going to lose a lot of fringe fans. And I think that's what's going to happen. But I'd like to see the game get back to a bit of a mix of homegrown and free agency. I feel like NFL is, with their 4-year rookie contracts and a 5th-year option plus free agency, I feel like you have a very good mix of homegrown and free agency. I'm not sure how it is in basketball, if it's the same way. A lot of young guys that go through the system and free agents, a good mix. I know the NHL is kind of like that. Your superstars are going to move around, the older superstars, but that should be in any league. They should have the right to do that. I know with baseball, you've got the 6-year rookie deal. When a guy is signed to your team, you have control for 6 years. 4 or 5 of those could be in the minors, though. That's part of the issue. I think there needs to be a little bit more of something where a guy goes through the minor system, or is, maybe you get 3 years in the minors and you get 3 years in the majors, and that's how they split it. I don't know. There needs to be something that needs to be done to give you more of a mix of free agency and homegrown, instead of you got the Tampa Bay Rays. Maybe you got a free agent. Maybe you got 2. But the rest are farm system guys that come up through the farm system. Now, they're brilliant at developing players. They're brilliant at developing pitching. It's what they do. Same with Miami. They're great at developing pitching. But then they can't keep those guys. They got to sell them off. They got to trade them. They got to move them. So I'd like to see some sort of mix. And I love the parody of the NFL. I mean, it's fun. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't in it this year. There's some different teams that are floating around, and it was a fun playoff so far. It was a blast to see Chicago and Carolina in there. It was even better as a Rams fan to beat both of those teams, but nonetheless, it was fun to see different teams in the playoffs. And we got a little bit of that last year with the taste of Cincinnati in there. But I want to see a mix. I want to see us go back to a mix, and I'm not sure how that's done. I don't. And again, I don't know if I love the salary cap. And I don't like hearing floated around a salary floor. I think that's weird, because then you're going to get guys who are minus 1.5 WAR guys who are making a ton of money because Pittsburgh's got to sign somebody to give above the floor. So I don't really like that.
That is a flaw to that plan for sure.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that you mentioned about the NFL, how does a top of the line trade piece go to the Green Bay Packers? Like, theoretically, by market size, the Green Bay Packers is a small market, but in the NFL, they are a fantastic franchise, a historical franchise, and one of the most popular teams in the history of the league. And why are they able to do that? Well, it really means less about market size in the NFL because they have to share so much of the revenues.
Right.
Jerry Jones infamously in the mid-90s kind of skirted around some of those rules and was able to make deals for his stadium stuff that kind of butted heads against the NFL. And, he then had some lawsuits and he got away with it, and he created a little bit of an opportunity for himself. But, historically, this was really the Indianapolis Colts, they drafted Peyton Manning, and by drafting Peyton Manning, they solidified their franchise for like 10 or 15 years just because he was so good.
Yeah.
So that is a much different beast. I don't know what baseball looks like if they go closer to a shared revenue NFL style of league. It would be way different. The teams that are like the Oakland A's and some of the lesser teams, Pittsburgh Pirates, would they level up a little bit just because they wouldn't have to always lose out on these free agents because of the overspending of the richer teams? I don't know how that would shake out,
Yeah.
but it is
Yeah.
interesting. Baseball historically has not had a salary cap, and that has been to their benefit, and their players union has been steadfast and has been the top players union. Like the thing that makes me laugh is the NFL is the most successful and richest league, and yet Major League Baseball has their players have the most freedom. It's like it's wild to me. It all comes down to
Yeah.
the union. So yeah, are the Dodgers to blame here though?
No.
Are the Dodgers to blame for the possibility of a lockout looming? Like if you were to put a finger on the problems, is it the Dodgers? Is it inefficient market size? Is it small market teams unwilling to invest in their teams? Is it free agents unwilling to look beyond the top 5 markets? I don't know who the biggest blame would be, but it does look like the owners are, the non-Dodgers owners are all going to kind of get together and point the finger and go, you guys, we need to stop you guys, because
Yeah.
they couldn't beat them on what they decided was an uneven playing field. So now they have to change the rules to even the playing field.
Yeah, and part of the article I think that you and I looked at today too, they talked about how some of the owners of the smaller market clubs who don't spend a lot of money, they're actually doing pretty well right now because they do get a cut of the revenue of the over the quote unquote cap
Right.
threshold, whatever you want to call it right now.
Dodgers are paying out a lot of money, man.
Yeah, they're giving a lot of money to the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I don't think the Pirates ownership, I don't think he minds that. But they did talk about in the article, if they do go to a salary cap, that every club will get a boost in worth in what that team is worth, because now you've got clubs that are going to be spending a lot of money on players. You're going to get a lot more people in the stands because, I mean, there are some bad NFL teams. Let's use the Raiders as an example because they're getting the number one
Raiders,
pick.
yeah.
The Jets, people still go to those games.
Yeah.
Las Vegas is a
There's only
great
16
place.
of them, man. There's only
Yeah.
8 or 9 of them that you get to see
Exactly.
at
And you get to go, and you're in Vegas. You get to go to Vegas to watch a football game. And if you're in New York and you're a Jets fan, you're still going to go to the games because New York is passionate about their teams. But they're still going to try to make changes and get better because you do have a salary cap, and now you've got like Harbaugh in John Harbaugh in New York with the Giants.
Mhm.
That's a draw. I mean, you've got one of the best coaches in the NFL has hopped over to the New York Giants in a New York market. And they played better football last year. I wouldn't say good, but they played better football than they have in the past.
You think
And now
John Harbaugh is like, if I'd only waited a week, I could have had that Buffalo job.
I don't know. That's a tough one because I think he's a good fit for the New York Giants. I think he's a good fit in New York. I think Buffalo, I don't know. I don't know if I can handle Josh Allen because there's only so many times you could put up with a guy that gets so close and then just gets boneheaded at the end of the game or because what did he have? Like 3 or 4 turnovers in that last game that they played? I think that would drive me nuts.
Some tough interceptions, though.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll move on. And we do have some Giant stuff to talk about. The Giants, they signed another top international prospect, Luis Hernandez, $5 million bonus from Venezuela. And you add him with Josuar Gonzalez. And now you have I don't know how those things shake out with the international prospects. We'd have to ask Keith Law or my buddy Jared Seidler about, how they will shake out when it comes to the top prospects in baseball. But it's a good thing to have. Now, it's a good thing to have because we can dream and, we can fast forward our timelines here to like 3 or 4 years down the line and go, oh, if all things go well, that there's a starting infielder right there, he's going to be with us forever. But also the idea of a trade piece, and they were so risk averse when it came to trading Luciano, who has now been, has he been waived like twice now?
Yeah, so he was waived by the Giants. Pittsburgh picked him up, waived by Pittsburgh. Baltimore picked him up, waived by Baltimore. They're hoping he pushes through because in that way they can, that's kind of what Baltimore does. They'll pick up guys like that.
Stash them.
Try to sneak him through, especially this time of year when not a lot of teams have a 40th spot open. Try to push him through, and then that way they can pop him into the minors. So
yeah. So, you have flexibility. Either they're going to become good players. They may become good players on some other teams. There's opportunity for trade. So it's just good to have these guys in your farm system. So I think that's a positive. The Giants' inability to really bring these guys to the major league level has been a little bit of a problem of late. But, they do have some guys who, I don't know if any of these guys will help them this year, but you do, they are going to probably bring Eldridge to the big league club on day one.
Well, of the top 10, it's going to be Eldridge and it's going to be Wisenhunt. I don't think it's going to be anybody else.
They have 2 guys who MLB.com projects as 2027 guys in Bo Davidson and Dakota Jordan. So, those are kind of next. But yeah, like and I guess they do have Blake Tidwell. We'll see how he bounces back after the arm thing that he went through. But
yeah,
just mostly the idea is like, can they finally prosper some of these guys to the big league level? Because we just haven't seen it. We get excited for a Fitzy. We're like, oh, finally we get it. And then, he goes out and hits, 220 or whatever. Casey Schmidt will have an opportunity to make the team. And he will make the team. He'll have the opportunity to start at second base if they don't get anybody. But I don't think we expect Casey Schmidt to be an all-star this year. We expect him to be dependable defensively and be a clutch hitter here and there, but they just haven't grown anybody through the system that we're like, that's the guy. And now we have that guy in Eldridge, who's 21 years old. And it would be nice for some of these other guys who are kind of, will probably be in AA and then AAA to like be ready as well. Like, you like to see these young guys. Now, it's hard. It's really hard, but I think we're a little biased because, or maybe our expectations are too high because one of our favorite teams was the 86 Giants, and they just graduated all these guys to the big league roster all at the same time. And they were all super fun and they really helped the team win the pennant in 89. So that is kind of where we sit. But yeah, like it's nice to have these prospects highly sought out. So high in the system, like Joe Suarez already number 2 in the rankings, but his also ETA is in 2030.
Right.
You and I are not getting any younger here, so we'd like to see the ETAs come down a little bit here.
Anytime I see a 2030, that's the year I retire from work. So I see that. And I go, wow, that's it's really not that long from now, but it is that long from now. I mean, I would love to see like a Johnny Level, these guys. But yeah, when you look at where they're at and where they played last year, rookie ball, A ball, AA, ball, rookie, A. I mean, I'm going down the list of like the top 12 players, A+, Maui Ahuna. I mean, these guys aren't anywhere close.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So in order to compete, like I was saying earlier, the Giants have to be a free agent club. That's what they have to be right now, and they're just not doing it.
Or trades.
Or trades, and you know, and again, what do you want to do? Do you want to build the farm system, and then before you actually know what you have, ditch these guys if somebody's willing to pay for them? This is a big year for the Giants, because this is the year where all of those guys are going to get a lot more playing time, a lot more looks in the minor leagues. Are some of these A guys going to double A? Some of these double A guys going to triple A? Are they going to falter? Are they going to peter out? What are they going to do? But yeah, it's right now, I think the Giants, I mean, there are still some free agents out there that the Giants can grab and still kind of add to this team. And if they're sitting around waiting to see if some of these guys like Framber Valdez will take a 3-year deal with an opt-out after every year, I think we're getting really close. I think we're getting to that point. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and it goes back to what you said about the looming lockout and teams seemingly being scared to offer long-term deals, not knowing if they're going to be playing baseball, if there's going to be baseball next year. Okay, let's end with what you just said, which is, are the Giants going to make a move, or a somewhat big move? We've talked about Tyler Mahle. We've talked about Adrian Hauser. They lost Sean Jelly to the Oryx Buffaloes in Japan. They lost Justin Dean, Wade Meckler, and Joey Weimer to waivers because they needed space on their 40-man. There's Cody Bellinger out there. There's Framber out there, like you said. There's trade folks that are out there that seem to be a little bit in the too good to be true scenario. I know FP Santangelo keeps bringing up the name Nico Horner, and I'm like, did the Cubs really want to? Why would the Cubs want to trade him? That is what I'm not so sure about. You know, who would the Giants have to give up for a Nico Horner? I don't think it is Tyler Fitzgerald and Carson Wisenhunt. I don't think that's going to get it done. You know, do you, if you were to have to make a guess, do you think the Giants add a singular player at a position that we've been dying for them to replace that is going to make the fans go, okay, like we're moving in the right direction? Because so far we are banking on this idea that they made their move in the summer, or in the summer for a trade for Rafi Devers, which was great. But since then, the Dodgers have continued to add. The Dodgers didn't go, we made a move during the season and we're going to hold strong, and that's it. They continue to add. So if you're trying to keep up with them, you haven't done anything, and they've done a lot. So do you think they make a move that gets Giants fans excited and saying, like, you know what? We're fighting here. We're going to be in it. We can see the moves happening, because I am not sure myself.
You know, I'd be cool with Cody Bellinger for a couple of years, like a 3-year deal. I'd be excited about Framber Valdez, even with a 1-year opt-out at this point, just to have a little more competition in that 5-man rotation. I mean, you bring in Framber, you got your number 2.
Yeah, he's your
Logan Webb,
and he's left-handed.
I mean, that's an amazing. Now you're looking at I wouldn't say amazing, but you're looking at a really, really good 5-man rotation. I still don't know what the hell we're going to do at the back end of the bullpen. That's one of those things that right now is going to shake out in spring training. I always hate that. I hate the spring training competition for your 7 and 8th inning guy. Tony Vitello was at the San Jose Fan Fest this weekend. We're starting to get nuggets. The more he talks, the more nuggets we're going to get. And he did mention that Ryan Walker is pretty much the 9th inning guy, but he would not be afraid to use him in other high leverage situations earlier in the game. So how do you feel about a bases loaded situation? Ryan Walker comes in the 7th, gets the out. We have a 1-run lead. Who pitches the 8th and 9th? At this point, I don't really know. Peguero. I mean, you're going to have some guys competing for those spots. Trevor McDonald, is he going to be in the bullpen? Is he going to be stretched out to be a starter in spot starts? So there's just a lot
Has
of
anybody played catch with
questions.
Hayden Birdsong? Can he hit you in the glove at this point?
I really hope so. I hope Birdsong can. I hope Wisenhunt has developed a third pitch. I mean, there are so many questions with this pitching staff that if you add a Cody Bellinger, is that just kind of, lipstick on a pig at this point? Are you saying, look, we got an outfielder and our lineup is dangerous now? That's great. I would love to have a dangerous lineup. I also I don't want to suffer through 7 to 6 ball games every night, because that's going to be kind of tough to watch. So yeah, I don't know. I think a Cody Bellinger and I think a Framber Valdez, honestly, those two guys combined, I think I would feel pretty good about. Even on short-term deals, I would just feel good about. Now, I'm just saying, just 2026, I'd feel excited for the 2026 season. What happens after that right now, I don't know. We're not signing anybody for 6 or 7 years, so we don't have to worry about that. But I would feel good about the 2026 season.
All right, I'm just using the CBS Sports Line list of the best free agents left. I'm going to go down the list a little bit because you named the top 2 guys left. That's Bellinger and Framber.
I shot for the moon, man.
Well, I mean, 2 months ago when we started talking about this, they were more along like in the middle. They were like 5, 6, and now they're the top 2 left. So,
now they're the top.
I want you to give me an excitement level if the Giants signed these next few people that I'm going to mention. And thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle as far as just excitement, because everybody on this list could add value to the team. But what is going to sell tickets? What is going to make the current fan base, jump up for joy? All right, Zach Gallen.
Yeah, I mean, again, for baseball fans, I think we'd be like, hey, that's a pretty solid 3 or 4 guy.
Giants fans are pretty smart. I think.
Yeah, we'd be
happy with him at the back end of that rotation.
Sure. Again, depends on how many. Let's just say these are 1-year deals, because I don't want to think about Zach Gallen on a 6-year deal. I don't want to think about Zach Gallen on a 4-year deal. So,
actually, this is kind of a bad list. I
was looking at Luis Ariz today, and I was like, could he still play second base? No, I don't think he could.
Yeah, I had the hot stove tracker, and then they only went through 5 players, and I was like, what?
Oh God, here, I'm gonna send you here. I got a list up. It's from The Athletic. It's one I've been studying like week in and week out because it's a good comprehensive list. I mean, like, because what you've got after Framber Valdez and Cody Bellinger is Eugenio Suarez. If we sign him, I'd be like, where the hell are you going to play him? We don't need a guy like that. So,
yes.
But Zach Gallen's on that list at number 21.
This is a good one. Okay. So, after Eugenio, that is Zach Gallen, and then Lucas Giolito.
I'm going to look at this list. I'm going to say Giolito or Bassett. I would honestly be happy with either of those guys. I think, again, over what we have right now, we have a lot of question marks right now. Malley, again, can he be good? Sure. So if you get a guy like Giolito and Bassett, or either or, I think I'd be a little bit more excited about our 5-man rotation. It's still, I would still be sitting here thinking, what are we doing with the back end of the bullpen? So, yeah.
I would be happy with either of those guys just from depth rotation pieces, of course. I mean, they're not going to make me jump for joy. It's not, it's not signing Kyle Tucker or anything, but okay. After that, what do you think about Harrison Bader, who is probably kind of realistic for them if they do add a bat?
I'd be happy. I'd be happy with Bader. Not as happy as I would with Bellinger, but I think I would enjoy Bader, because then I would know that you could move Jung-Hoo Lee to right field, or maybe Bader plays right field. I mean, you have to kind of feel it out and see who could play that ballpark the best. The problem is, I don't know how much Jung-Hoo Lee has even goofed around in right field before games at Oracle. And I don't know if Bader's ever played right field at Oracle either. I'd have to look back at stats and everything. But yeah, I'd be excited at that because it kind of lengthens your outfield defense a little bit. So I think I like that.
I think it would be a positive, but I think what would happen is they would want to put Bader in center. They would want to move Jung-Hoo to left, and they would have to go find a right fielder, which is kind of the same problem that we have right now.
Yeah. But what do you do
with
with
Ramos?
Ramos?
What does that do with Ramos? Is you probably trade him is what happens.
I would think so. But again, would I rather have Ramos or Bader at this point? Right now, I'd rather have Ramos.
You'd rather have Ramos's bat for sure. Though Bader's numbers last year were better than Ramos's, but I think some people don't really believe in those numbers. Ramos is younger, of course, but his defensive metrics also took quite a tumble. So
yeah.
All right, Max Scherzer.
Who?
That says
yeah. I mean, would I rather have Max Scherzer or Verlander? Let's throw those two out there because I like to compare.
Justin, it's got to be Justin, right?
I would think so, but I would be a little excited about Scherzer, but I think I'd be more excited with Verlander because we saw what he did at Oracle Park the second half of the season. So, yeah, I'd lean Verlander. But if we did sign Scherzer, excuse me.
I think Justin has proven that he could still hit 95 on the gun. Scherzer, I'd be a little worried. There's a little bit of scotch tape and yarn and bubble gum kind of keeping his shoulder and elbow together. So I would like Verlander. He's just built. He seems to be built for it a little bit better.
I don't think I'd cry if we got Scherzer, but I wouldn't be super excited.
Talking about a late inning reliever, could you possibly go get Sir Anthony Dominguez?
Honestly, if you named a reliever right now, I'd say yes. I mean, we don't have a lot of experience in the bullpen at the moment. So I think anybody who's a free agent reliever right now and who has earned free agency by being in the league long enough, I think I'd say yes.
What if they went out and got Kopech from the Dodgers and just said, "You're our ninth inning guy. Just throw hard and just get outs in the ninth inning"?
You know, I think I'd still trust Ryan Walker in the ninth to start the season, but I think
maybe Kopech is like an eighth inning guy.
Yeah,
Kopech is the eighth inning guy.
Yeah, but if you had to turn to him for the ninth, because I mean that's what Vitello made it sound like, is that we were going to kind of stick with almost closer by committee at this point. So.
Hey, I mean, if you can bring in guys who are throwing high 90s, like I think it's worth the risk of the injuries, because it's not like you have a ton of them. You would only have, Randrod is going to be gone. Eighth inning Randy, he's not going to be back. So
that's really the most, I think. Yeah,
I guess Paguro, he throws hard, but it's not like they have a lot of these guys who they're completely worried about blowing out their elbows.
Now, what about Zach Littell? I know he's on the list. Is he listed as a starting pitcher?
I think he's listed as a starter.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know, man.
He was pretty mean. Been there, done that. I don't know.
Well, not even that. He was just really mean.
He was
really mean to Cap there when Cap. took him out
but
that
that's
one
all right.
time.
Maybe Cap deserved it. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a good he had a good couple of years post Giants. So
yeah,
and I wonder what he thinks about coming back.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to hit the relievers real quick, just because we're talking about them. But right now on the roster, we've got Tristan Beck, who's going to be more of a spot starter. You got Spencer Bivens. He's going to
Mhm.
give you some mid-relief innings. You've got Jose Buto. Foley's not going to be there till
Half a
midway through
year,
the
yeah.
season. Yeah. Sam Hentges, left-hander. That's a good pickup if he can be the guy. If he can be, I don't know. And again, with his injury, I don't know if he's going to start the season. But if he can be the guy, he can be a 7th or 8th inning guy. Again, Trevor McDonald. You got Eric Miller, who's healthy this
Yeah, I
year.
forgot about Miller.
Yeah, Joel Piguero. Let's see who else, and then Ryan Walker. Yeah, so I mean, maybe it's not as doom and gloom as I thought it would be, but again, I would feel better with like a Sir Anthony Dominguez, kind of filling in that role for the 7th or 8th inning guy, or Kopech, and then that way saying like, okay, now we have some depth, because if you dip into the minors, you got Kaiwei Tang, and again you've got Carson, you've got Tristan Beck, you've almost said Carson Beck, the Miami losing quarterback from last night. But yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Carson Daly, the old MTV VJ.
No, not that guy.
All right, no, that's good. That was a good little exercise. It's
Yeah.
kind of looking the realistic bullpen and what they could do in free agency, because there's not a lot of guys left. There's still guys, but there's not a lot of guys left specifically who fit what the Giants want. There's a lot of guys who are like DHs without positions, but the Giants have so many of those guys already.
Yeah.
We need less of those guys, not more of those guys. So they're out of the business on those guys. All right. That was good. So we'll figure out what to do next week, if we need to be back or not. If the Giants do something, we'll definitely be back. I think Brian and I will be back tomorrow, possibly with Golden State Hoop, talking the Warriors, who just lost Jimmy Butler for the year to a torn ACL. Not great in Warriors land there. And yeah, so Rod and I will be back this weekend after the NFC and AFC title games, and we'll talk about that as well as the 49ers exit interview stuff and kind of where they sit with all the injuries that they had to deal with. But okay, so that is it from here. So for Brad, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.